Marine Corps.
That's
It's
not
true.
good. All right, so that's done. We are going to
It looks like it's live. Can everybody hear me?
yes.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. This is what the main page of the website will look like. You have your latest news on the side that you can put anything. The upcoming events will link to the calendar. The agenda and minutes is down here at the bottom. So any of the council packets, you can go and click on there. That will be, there's the pay my ticket, because a lot of people just visit the website just to pay their tickets. So that'll link to whatever's used for the mayor's court software. This forms and permits, these are just like the quick links at the bottom of the most used things on the website. The forms and permits at the bottom, that would click and link to the planning and zoning permits right now, like the fence, the deck, all of that. And then the village code, this right here will link to the American Legal Village Code that we have. And then up at the top, we have community. That's where we put tons of information, stuff about the pool, recreation, parks. The government will have the council set up, the council committees. Everything will be nice and organized, explaining like where council, mayor, village, then the departments themselves will link to police, EMS, and then again, just specific departments, and then any sort of resources, quick links would be under that tab there. And then, so right now, what we're working on is just content migration from the existing website over to this, and that takes some time. So once that is done, then there'll be a client review period where we can workshop between what works and what's functional. In these, because I did some webinars with them for the past couple months, and there's reasons why they have that Municode works, and that they have like just sparse links, because 80% of the people, when they go to your website, they're not going to scroll down to the bottom. So there's a reason why there's different short links up top. Oh, also at the bottom, we have the link to the Facebook page right there. I thought that was really good. And then, yeah, right now it's just working on getting all of the old legislation over to the new website. And on the new website, it's going to be really nice and organized, where you'll have the legislation and what date it was passed, and it's very user friendly. I've seen some examples. Everything will just be a lot more organized and accessible, which is pretty exciting. Let's see. Oh yes, and also I know there's talk about with wanting new ways to get information out and do email blasts. That's possible with what we have with Municode. So I can show you an example of what, it's all customizable and what you want to put out there. So let me try to share this screen. Okay, this is just an example. Did that work? Is that share something different?
No, that's it.
Okay. So your email subscriptions, if you have different people, like we could have people sign up for the newsletter. If they don't want it mailed to them, we could have a system where it's just emailed to them every month. And then this can be as many categories or as little categories as you want, but you would be able to go on the website and subscribe to whatever type of information you want. So I thought that's exciting because you can customize it as you want, as needed. But does anybody have any questions about, that's what we've been working on so far.
I have a question.
Okay.
Well, we're hammering out in our communications committee exactly what we're doing and what we're not doing. I talked to a number of residents, and I tried to stick to the ones that keenly watch our broadcasts, and then are people that would be more involved if they could be, so they say. And they talk about planning and scheduling as a big item. Is there something on our website that shows ongoing projects?
The calendars, I keep that updated as best as I can on the current one. But then on this new one where you'll have upcoming events, you'll be able to click on this, and that would just be a quick drop down of different things. And then if you there'll be another option to also click on the calendar. So I guess is staying up to date on that, because I know that, not everybody's on Facebook, that this would be a good resource for a lot of different people that don't necessarily want to be on Facebook.
Well, where it says upcoming events, would it be a difficult thing to have yet another box that says ongoing projects?
Yes, it would. Those 2 links are
that
pretty
answers that.
Yeah. And one of the things was not having too much overloaded information on the page. You want it to be, I don't know how to say this. You want it to be
Simplified.
to flow well. Yes.
Mhm.
Well,
So-
on that box title, couldn't it say upcoming events and projects?
I think less is more, but that's just me.
My view is like where it says community, or again, these are different things that to me community is. I know Becky and I talked about community government departments and resources. There's also a search tab, but under community, I mean, that could be where we put different things like that. So for community, like she said, you could do pool, you could do lakes, you could do playgrounds, you could do all of these things. And when you click on lakes, it could be all up, take you to a lakes page. These are the upcoming events for the lakes, for what's going on. This is where we at, this is what we're doing, all of those types of things, or even resources upcoming, with sewer projects and things like that. To me, that's somewhere that you could go for that. And I think as time goes on, you're going to be able to swap those out. I mean, if community's not really working for us and we need, we have a whole bunch of sewer and street projects and you want to turn one of those into, departments, you would probably do something along those lines. I mean, you could even do, I don't know. Never mind. Because that departments, we would do like a zone, my thing is police, EMS, zoning officer, maintenance department, to where people can send things directly to them as well. But then again, I mean, I get what you're saying, Joe, like a place that we could say, this is our goals. These are our plans for the lakes. This is our goal. This is our plans for the sewers, those kind of things. So I get what you're saying, to have it in like one place.
Yeah. And Joe,
Yeah, well,
under the latest news, if it was something that was happening very soon, you could also put it underneath the latest news that would drop down. So it could be in a couple different places.
When I talk to these residents, I stuck to the ones that pay a lot of attention to what we're doing, and most people don't. But that's what they mentioned, is that they felt the communications were weakest between the public and our government on planning and scheduling. And they threw in finance, but that's a whole separate thing.
Well, hopefully this new website should be user friendly and things will be organized in a way that's easily accessible and
Well, it looks great. Looks like you did a superb job.
Well, and I think the other thing, like when you compare what our old one was and our new one was, I feel like that front page is just a catch-all page. I mean, we literally have moth spraying, we have the pool link, there's absolutely no, because there's nothing you can do with it. I mean, I'm not saying that we're doing a bad job. I'm just saying it's just, there needs to be the latest news for updates. And to me, where it says upcoming events, I know once we hit the down, like the down bar, I'm hoping that we can have like little hyperlinks on that. And one would say, I'm just going to throw this out, food trucks, here's the 5 food trucks that are coming this month. And yes, it would also be on the calendar. So I'm hoping under upcoming events, we can kind of simplify that even, anytime we have something going on. So, I mean, I love it. I think it's great. Now, Becky and I had also talked about, and Becky, you can tell me to shut up. I know you only have a few minutes, but we had talked about, and I know this is something that you guys had talked about, and this is all open for debate for me. We have Village of Minerva Park, Ohio, and then we have the tree. And of course we have the green color that we've been using. We use that because that's what we have. That is, Becky and I had talked about, having a logo designer. And Unicode, they're the ones that gave us some information from that. But of course it costs money. We left it alone. So there are things in which if council wants to invest in a different logo, different things like that, you guys have to let us know. So I do want to point that out because you guys brought that up just recently. I don't remember the whole story behind it, but this is what we have to work with. We are using everything that we have to work with, but if there's things that you guys want to invest in, by all means.
Yeah, there was a really good company that works with a lot of cities with developing their specific the logo, and that would just be a logo that would take place of the tree.
Right.
And if that's something we wanted to do in the future, we could put that instead of the tree. The green is set into the web design though.
Okay. And then the other thing that I know, Joe, you've talked about numerous times, and again, this is just, I'm bringing up points that you guys have talked about in the past, but and I don't really want to call it a slogan or a mission, call it a slogan, a mission statement, whatever. That's one of the other things that I know that people have talked about in the past of having some sort of tagline, whatever. And I don't think Brian has much interest, but I have had people ask about it. I mean, you can tell I'm more basic, but that's something you guys are more than, it's not on here because we don't have one and we're not going to be the ones to create it. So I would look to you guys if you want to change certain things or add certain things like that, by all means.
Well, I think we could work on, what do you want to call it? A mission statement or just kind of an introduction. We could work on that and get something written up and then see what people think.
I have no appetite to build up a village slogan or, because we're not talking about a mission statement like we the people of Minerva Park. We're not talking about a paragraph here. We're talking about that one sentence tagline that makes Minerva Park sound swell. And I can tell you that would result in nothing but dozens upon dozens upon dozens of hours of people arguing about it.
I would agree.
And I don't think it brings us any value, right? We're not shopping this out to tourisms, right? We're not it's not Minerva Park, a swell place to vacation. It's a bedroom community.
Right. You could you just named it, bedroom community.
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
It's also, my opinion on the logo is that the tree is fine.
Okay.
Right?
I agree.
I don't think there's any need to spend money on that either.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was just an idea that they had in talks with Unicode. Another thing I wanted to say was that once all the content is migrated over, we will have a time period of where we get to click around and see how it works and test it out. So there will be some customization after that, depending on what we think, but there will be that time to do that before it actually goes live.
I'll mention one thing. A lot of times, especially if you do any kind of searching on Google, there's the town of Minerva Park that always pops up along with the village of Minerva Park. So up here where the tree is, I like the tree. I mean, everybody's come to associate that with us. So it kind of already our logo. But if you could punch up the village of a little bit.
Unfortunately, I think that's just what the font size works with.
That doesn't have
I
any.
don't think
That's not a big deal, but it happens all the time when I put Minerva
it
Park
doesn't-
in Google.
we do have this at the bottom that it says Columbus, Ohio, and has the address right at the bar at the bottom. So you would have that distinction. And also another thing before I forget, I wanted to mention that is this background image was emailed to me by a resident, which was really great. It's the high definition photo that we needed. But this background image can change. So you could have, if we got more submissions of high quality photos, it could change, season to season, every month. There's a lot of cool things you could do with high resolution photos, make it look like a professional quality website.
I don't have a $2,000 camera, but if I did, I could get some really good pictures here. There's a new family of hawks that live over here and all kind of stuff on the lake.
Yeah, I'm another, oh, go ahead, Diane.
All right, thank you. I just want to say on this picture, I love the middle of this picture, but I don't like looking at all the weeds on the shoreline and all that kind of stuff. So that the picture to me, but I have to say, in looking at other village websites, when I was trying to look at facilities, what this says to me now that whenever a village showed a picture of trees or a lake or the playground, it's because they didn't want to show their community building. They did not want to show the municipal building because it wasn't good. So now that I know that, I'm a practice hand, I look at this and I go, oh, they don't have a municipal building, or it's not nice, and so they don't want to show it. Really, it should be the municipal building somehow. If we could, to me, if this is a village municipal website, then we should be showing the building or the police department with police cars out front. I mean, it should look like it's a building, not a lake where you go to fish.
I totally disagree. I do not want to look at the building.
Well, that is fine, but
Wait till it gets
the
rehab.
thing is when people go to the again, it's about the purpose of the website. So on the one hand, you want to have something that has all the municipal information, and you're not a Facebook page, you are a municipal village web page. On the one hand, you don't want it to be, like a bunch of personal photographs and things like that. I hear that, but then I hear, oh no, we want to have all these pretty pictures and do all this stuff. And what is it? Is it a Facebook page or is it a municipal page? If it's a municipal page, that ought to be what it is. And if we have a Facebook page, then dress it up with pictures. Get people to want to go there and look at it. But
I think the number one thing when I think of the village of Minerva Park, the number one thing I think of is the lake. I've been around here since I was 10 years old. And I don't think that
I didn't even know it existed though. I mean, who is this web page for? Is it for old-timey residents who've lived here for 30 years who relate to the lake? I mean, who's the website for?
Brian, what do you,
those people?
So,
Brian, what is your thoughts? Because I'm the furthest from taking a picture of a building and showing a building
yeah, so
in a neighborhood.
yeah, so my first thing is that I would answer, who is the website for? This website is for our residents. Right.
Correct.
This is a vehicle by which we can communicate pertinent information to our residents. This isn't a marketing brochure. This isn't to help other people shop for community buildings. This is a place for us to disseminate information to our residents. Right now, hearing your story about you were trying to look at pictures of community buildings, and you consistently found that People who didn't have their community building spotlighted had a goofy community building. Well, until we ever get around to fixing our community building, I think we fall in that category. I certainly wouldn't feel any kind of pride or, anything to put a picture of that building up there. There's not a good angle. So I don't see any advantage to it. Whereas the lake is, a highlight of the village. It certainly shows well enough. And from my perspective, if I were to make a suggestion, because I think that changing pictures and all that's kind of superfluous too, and it's a nice idea, but it's one more thing to do. But if we were to implement it, I would take the same exact angle and take a winter, spring, summer, fall picture and just this. And
That would be a great idea.
on the equinoxes and the solstices, it just switches to the next season, and the thought about it is done. Because again, if we want to talk about all the different pictures we could put in there, that again just sounds like hours and hours of arguing. That doesn't bring us any value.
Well, there can be a section just with some photos.
I
Well,
just went through every single city that I could think of, and I have not found one from Gahanna. None of them have a picture of their municipal building. I literally have just gone through every one that I could think of really fast, and I do not see one picture. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, because I know that obviously that there are some, but every single little, and most of them have their name and a little logo. But I mean, even Gahanna just has the beautiful little thing that goes over the road, whatever I'm trying to think of. So, I mean, I think it's personal preference. I'm not going to argue the fact that many people do and many people like it. I don't think whether we have a picture of our lake or a community building, it defines Minerva Park. To me, if I were coming to this website, I would rather see a picture of the lake. That's just my view.
You could have both. There could be a small insert box with a picture of the community building in a corner there someplace.
Right. And even if and let me rephrase this, even if we had a $2 million building, I would personally still rather see the lake.
If and when we ever get that building made,
Then maybe we'll change our mind.
we could revisit that. Right now, it's a new source of pride, and putting that picture on the website expresses the value that we spent on behalf of the residents. And right, there's a reason to put it up there. Right. I don't think we need to put the picture of the community building up there so that people know what they're looking for when they're trying to go pay their ticket. Like that doesn't hit me right.
Well, it's a beautiful picture that's up there. I'll say that.
Yeah.
If you look real close, you can see the lights on in the community building.
I think she
Somebody's
left.
home.
I think she left. Yeah, she
She
had to
put it
leave.
she put it in the chat that she had.
I thought she did. Okay. So yeah, I mean, those are all stuff that, whether or not council wants to revisit it and people want to, and they want to change that front picture. I guess the point with the website is, as you guys are fully aware, we're going to find things that we're not going to like. When we click on this box or we click on this box, there may be a better word that suits. And these were the words that we kind of went back and forth. What can we put under this tab? You can't have 72 tabs. So here's how many tabs. Again, I want to remind everybody, we did not pay $10,000 for a custom designed website. So these are the tabs that we use a lot. These are the tabs that when people call in, they ask, where is this? Where is this? Obviously planning and zoning, or, the permits is huge. Pool memberships is huge, and paying your fine is really huge. So those are some of the things that we know we need. But I don't think there's, just because I don't think it should be a picture of the municipal building, and maybe Brian doesn't, maybe other people will agree that maybe it should be. That's all stuff that can be changed. And that's all, I guess here's my question to you, and Brian, this is going to go back, and Joe, this is going to go back to you. What do we feel the communication committee is doing? Is that something you guys want to go over for, an hour a month discussing what you want where, or having multiple meetings discussing, the website in itself? I know Brian didn't really have an appetite to do a lot of those nit grit things, but I feel like here's how, this is the only thing I'm going to say. Sometimes I feel like you guys want to have the nit grit things, and then some, or some people do, but then some people don't. So I don't want to feel like, obviously Becky and I have the time to talk to Municode. Committee, it's difficult for me to just say, okay, go for it, when we have committee meetings for an hour a month. You're never going to get a website designed for an hour a month, and maybe I'm crazy. But I think that there's plenty of room for people to be able to insert if that's what you guys want to do. So I think that's kind of what I'm asking. What exactly do you want this committee? You guys have seen the start of the website. We have discussed doing the newsletter. I know Tony wants you guys to do the newsletter, and I hope I'm not getting off topic. This is all strictly communications.
Mhm.
Where do you guys see yourself, or what do you guys want to do? What do you want to have your hands in? Again, I know some people think you guys should be doing the website. I don't feel 1 hour a month is sufficient in order to being able to do, and I know people can do it at home. I'm not suggesting that they can't, but then is one person going to take the brunt of that? I don't care. I mean, if Becky isn't doing the newsletter, or Becky isn't doing all of this, I don't think it's going to break anybody's heart. But in the same sense, I don't know that there's a full appetite to do it. Maybe.
Well, I'd say in the communications committee, this is something that we could discuss and further refine our thinking. Imagery is definitely a form of communication. In fact, a big one, as they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So, I mean, if this image like we're looking at on the website is like a screensaver, you know, we could actually change the image here and there, or, you know, if people wanted
Yeah,
some
I'm sure you could
variety
have it.
there.
I'm sure you could have it change every time the window refreshes, but that is, in my opinion, a waste of time and effort. I think the question at hand is, right, and we had this conversation last community meeting,
Yes, we did.
our communications meeting, is what is our scope as a body, right? So the question at hand is, in regards to the website, are we approving as a body? Are we requiring this body approve each facet of the website? Or when it comes to the website, are we, you know, I would like us to see us just set minimum requirements, right? And let the administration run with it, right? We can, you know, reserve a final say so, but we would only check it against our minimum requirements and make advisement for future changes, right? Because you can't get stuff done by, you know, that kind of stuff doesn't get done, like Tiffany said, one hour a month, right? We would have to meet on this, you know, for 20 minutes a day, every day, until it was done for progress to ever get made. Because, you know, that's how that kind of technology design work happens, right? You set a requirement, you know, someone goes, builds to that requirement, they show it to you, you approve it, but you can't only visit that once a month. That's an everyday kind of thing until it's done. And
Well, and then even after it's done, I think is my follow-up question to you guys. Once it's done, you know, is the communication committee going to, you know, I've had lots of people not lots of people, but, you know, different people in council, and, you know, let's talk about 5 years from now councils, and we don't know who those are going to be. Do they have access to being able to update the website? You know, one of the big things is Becky's in there 5 days a week. And I will even say, there are times on Saturday, I would love to be able to add something. So I know I'm going to be taught how to do it. And it may sound, you know, minor, but there are times in which I would like to be able to update something on Saturday. That said, you can't have too many people updating it, because what if somebody puts something on there that, yeah, maybe they probably shouldn't have.
Right.
I don't know what your guys' thoughts are and how far you guys want to go with this in communications, but I know that I can't just email somebody and say, hey, I need this added to the website, and then 4 days later it's still not there, because I know I get people mad at me when Becky doesn't have something on the calendar within 24 hours. I've got 2 emails going, why is it not on the calendar? So
Well, I agree with Brian entirely, with the addition of, as time goes on, we may learn things we don't know about. There may be
right.
sure.
comments from residents that say this doesn't work, or this could be this or that, and we can always go over those in committee.
So as far as who should be able to update it, it has always been, and I believe I've said this every time we've talked about requirements for the website, is that each committee should have a page, and the chair of the committee should be able to update that page, right? And that is, as a person on council, I think that is the only update I think
Okay.
council people should be making. Anything beyond that, I would prefer in the hands of the administration.
And where do you
Like-
think we can, this is just a general question. You saw the tabs.
Yeah.
Could we potentially maybe do that under government itself and add like each individual streets chair? Okay, so we'll have to figure
Yeah,
out how to make
I-
that work, but that's a
Yeah,
good
I
idea.
haven't seen how their menuing works, but
Right.
in that kind of menuing, often you would hover over government and
Correct.
a
Drop
drawer
down.
opens up, and then under that would be council, and under that a side drawer can open up, and then you can scroll down to the appropriate committees. That's in my head. If I were designing it, that's how I would do it. But I think that if we're writing requirements down for developer, it would be that we need a page
Okay,
linked from the homepage for each committee with the ability to assign a council person to be able to update it.
that's a good idea. Yeah, okay.
That doesn't, that,
Well, I'll bring
also
up
doesn't-
something else.
Oh,
One of the
go ahead, Joe.
subjects I was gonna bring up for this meeting, and Mayor Tiffany brought this up, that a lot of times in our council meetings, we end up with questions that then lead to endless comments and things like that. And it was part of communications, this whole thing that you're bringing up about having a committee page for each committee, Brian. This could be a place where maybe residents could address questions to committees if they know what committee to go to, and then we might, the idea being we could have a little bit more formal council meetings with less of the question and answer and discussion part of it. And
Sure,
we could summarize through the committee reports.
that committee, each committee page could have a link on it that is email the committee. And you click on the link and up pops an email that is pre-addressed to the 3 committee members, right? And blind copy anybody else we think that should be blind copied. That's easy coding.
And all we would need, for the public would be where each committee bullet is, a little slight description of what the committee does.
Now, in that, we would also need the ability to update that coding for who it's addressed to, right? Because if it's hard coding for my name, your name, and Diane's name, right? Well, in 2 years, some of us probably aren't going to be on council anymore. So we need the ability to manage that. But again, if the back end of this looks like the way I think it does, that probably won't be that hard.
She says it's very, very user friendly, which
Yeah.
works for me because that's what I need. User friendly.
Yep.
I don't build websites.
So I think those are what I would put as my requirements, what I would like to see happen. Everything else that's going on there looks great. We talked briefly about an opt-in for other communication methods. And what Becky showed us was just email. I think
Yes.
we've specifically had residents ask for texts.
I prefer both.
Yeah, I prefer both. And so a solution, with an opt-in on the website for both would be preferred.
Yes.
Now,
So-
that's, go ahead, Joe.
If questions came in for Becky then, and she had a clear idea what to do, if they were specifically related to one of the committees, she could refer the matter over to the committee.
Yeah.
And then the committee could deal with it, and we could keep that out of the council meeting. Go too long and sometimes get too much in the weeds.
Right. Now, the other topic that's been raised is the newsletter.
Mhm.
I know I have no appetite to be a copy editor for a newsletter. I personally have neither the time nor the inclination. In a perfect world, what I would see, the way the newsletter would really work is each committee has their place to update a report on the website, and come newsletter day, whoever's putting that together is going to copy each committee chair's report from the website and put it into whatever we're using to make the newsletter. and a mayor's report, and all the other little stuff, the police blotter and whatnot. And that would be all that's involved, right? And we could leave a section for any committee that did not report, or even just note their next scheduled meeting and move along. Yeah, because that's all it really should be, right? I don't know that we need to hunt down special interest topics, or it's merely a written form of us reporting our business to the village.
Well, if we're organized halfway decent, then any specific topics like you're talking about would naturally apply to one committee or another.
Right. That's how I would ideally like to see that done. Right.
Well, that
So-
fits right in with the subject I was going to bring up, which is how to keep all these questions and answers and long oratories out of the general council meeting, which is what Tiffany's kind of alluded to, is what sometimes makes them go out of hand.
Right. I think a lot of it is, at the very end, when I say, does anybody have any questions? That's where sometimes it does go a little haywire. One of the things that I will do is have her, and this is just asking everybody to check their emails multiple times. And I can't force anybody to do it, which is fine. But when we send out, like this particular week, I mean, we have a couple food trucks coming. We want to get them advertised. We're getting later and later because the second meeting's later and later on some of these. But then they're getting kind of, far out. So we would like to, and I sent this email out to where if everybody could have everything to Becky by Monday, 9 a.m. Diane, I know your meeting is not until Tuesday. So if you want to write something up after that, and we'll make sure that everything is done except for your little section, and then we can add your report in for that. But once we get it done, we'll send it to everybody, give everybody a couple hours, and then we'll send it off to the printer, because that's been taking a little extra time as well once we get it sent off. I mean, last week it was over a week. By the time it was longer than a week from the time she sent it to the time it got to my door. And sometimes it doesn't take that long. It's 2 or 3 days. It used to be 2 or 3 days. And now we're seeing that sometimes it's taken a little longer. So I don't know if that was a fluke, what it was, but this particular time, I mean, honestly, we don't have a ton. I haven't really, this has been really slow. So like mayor's report, super short. I mean, I literally have the pools open. I mean, let's be real. I have a couple other things, but nothing exciting, I'm not going to put stuff in there just to put stuff in there. But I might have to put stuff in there just to put stuff in there because we don't really have any updates. So that's why I agree with you. I don't just want to throw things in just because. Now, I did talk about a little bit yesterday of doing a newsletter, and I don't know if you guys have any interest in this, but newsletter that still has some basic reports, but maybe where the mayor's report, if I can keep that to just a simple blurb. We have a lot of people dumping in the ravine. We've got people throwing rocks everywhere, just some of our basic, reminders for first-time home buyers or newer people that live in the neighborhood. Just some basic reminders. So, putting together a couple, maybe having Jason help me do a couple little things, reminding people about permits, but something a little bit more, I'm just, instead of putting like one here, one here, one here, one here in the midst of everything else, doing a newsletter of, things to remember type things, basic housekeeping type instead of, and maybe we do it in addition to, I know we may not have budgeted for something like that, but I feel like, people cutting their grass, leaving all of the stuff in the street. I know that it's repetitive. I know people are dumping currently into the ravine. People are dumping into the space in the back of their MI homes. I've personally seen it, and it's been happening more and more because I had somebody tell me about it yesterday that they watched somebody dump all of their grass clippings into an area. So just kind of like a reminder to people not to be doing certain things. I think, some of us think that you shouldn't have to remind people, but clearly we do. So, and I don't know if that's something you guys think we should just add a totally different newsletter for something like that and send it out, or if it's something that just use the next newsletter as just like a friendly reminder type of thoughts. Don't matter. Doesn't care. Don't care.
Yeah. Hey, go ahead, Diane.
I think the
Thank you.
dumping in the ravine, it's kind of timely. You might, it doesn't necessarily the village or the village update is basically one page and a little, unless it could be featured on the, maybe on the back where the mailing part is. But if we could do an educational thing that's a little more than dumping in the ravine, because it's a tributary of
Right.
Alum Creek that they're
Right.
dumping into. And maybe if, especially the people that are new here may not, you know, like
Agreed.
connected with that. So if we had a little bit longer, a little more space to say, hey, you know, did you know you live, you know, we have a tributary of Alum Creek that goes through our, you know, village, and when you're dumping your, you know, and, you know, then go into the, you know, why we should be good caretakers of this, and you get some stuff from Facts. I mean, they're that group too, just to add some text in there. But I think a nice article, not just a little square box.
I agree. I think
Whether
that's
it's
what, yeah,
it could be the flyer insert in the middle, or it could
Okay.
be just the whole half of the back. But it needs to have some space allocated to it to maybe be more of an educational, like why you don't want to do this.
the reason that I really kind of wanted to do it soon is we are going to be sending some postcards to people that live along the ravine, and doing a couple different things like that as well. So we're going to be hitting it a couple different directions because it's actually kind of bad. Again, we've seen a couple people. So we've been talking about some postcards. We've been talking about a couple different things. So maybe when we start working on that, maybe if I can get a copy of it, send it to you guys just to kind of see what you guys think, or if anybody has some ideas of, you know, again, if it's a postcard, you can only put so much on it. But if you guys have any ideas or anything like that, but we have been in talks. I've been in talks with Eric about doing something like that soon, very soon, because like you said, it's a month ago was the time. So this is something that we're interested in doing before I'm interested in doing before the end of the month.
Well, when it comes to writing or editing copy, I don't have a problem with that. I don't mind it. It's actually kind of enjoyable to me. I've done that in the past quite a bit. And, so we can, run with that if you'd like.
I would love to send it to somebody else, or, I think everybody knows that I have negative interest in all that stuff. So, so yeah, I would appreciate somebody to help out with that and look at some of the different ideas. All right.
I'll be glad to do that.
All right. We are 4:44. I don't know if you guys want to talk about, I know Brian, you had a little bit of the text email blast options. I mean, I still think we can talk about it as an option. I don't know if you guys want to talk about something totally different. I don't know if you guys want to.
Go ahead, Diane.
I just like to wrap it up. I mean, I did send, Ryan sent his, and I sent the grid, and if there's any, I think that there's two that I highlighted that also do both text and email. I think they should, the two that I highlighted would be my opinion that they should be called by a couple people, and we should just ask them some questions and get a better feel for the organizations. I think the one at the bottom, I believe, is a newer company, so they have a fresher look, and their tool seems to be a little more user friendly. They're a little more expensive, but I think that the original group that Tiffany Easy Text or whatever, I think that they just are trying to buy business right now, because there's a lot more competition out there. But there's a reason. I think there might be a reason why. I think that other newer companies may have better structure in their software. So, but I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing at that. It would be good to just talk to them both in detail, and because they can't put everything they have on the website. None of them put everything on the website that they have, and then make a decision. And I would advise going with one of those two after talking to them.
I mean, I guess here's where I'm at. If somebody wants to take the lead and narrow it down to one or two, and either recommend one to council and move on. I mean, I think we need to triple check with Municode, which is something that we can do, whether or not they can actually do text and email. But that's a quick answer that we can verify tomorrow. But if somebody wants to, you know, work on that and get a recommendation and be done with it. I mean, it's a contract, I'm assuming, so I don't know if it's something, you know, depending on the price, if we need to go through council to do.
The two that I'm not sure about, I think Brian's also mentioned that it was, I think, month to month. The two that were on my grid that I recommended as possibles were all just month to month.
So if somebody wants,
There's no big investment on
Okay.
most of these products.
I'd make one comment about what we talked about previously. If we want to shorten the meetings the way we discussed by having things that should be in a committee be sent to the committee from the council meeting, if it comes up there, then we need to keep track of what gets sent to committee so that somewhere along the line we can follow up on that. And I mean, that's an issue, but at the same time, if there's people that are not on that committee that have some interest that are going to, you know, start making long discussions about it in the council meeting, we could maybe use the blast system to alert people as to certain topics that are going to be in a committee meeting. In terms of that might be a little difficult to do. I don't know.
I think if you start sending that out in mass text, people will unsubscribe in a heartbeat. They have to be.
No,
Well, I
there's-
don't mean to the public. I mean to
No,
us,
there's-
for
Well,
example.
we already do that with text. I mean, we already text each other. We don't need
Yeah,
this.
so, you know, if a long discussion comes up about building codes.
Yeah, but this isn't about discussion. This is just about notifications.
Yeah, this is
not
about
Right. Right,
discussion
well, that's,
platform.
This text tool that we're talking about is a means by which to communicate to our residents. This is not a means by which for us
No.
as a council and a mayor to communicate amongst ourselves, because email already works just fine for that.
so, well, Brian, are you interchanging the word text and blast? Is
No,
there-
I probably did.
Okay,
I probably
that's what
did.
I was speaking of. If, you know, if we want the system to work where things get farmed out to a committee and then, you know, the committee deals with it, and then this is to be effective, somehow we got to follow up on some of it, because sooner or later at a council meeting, somebody's not going to have been to the committee meeting and want to go into the long discussion again.
Right.
Okay. Joe, I think what I'm hearing you ask for is that when things are taken out of a general discussion in a council meeting and put to a committee meeting, that we keep a master list of those items so that they can be revisited
Exactly.
later.
Exactly.
Okay, so that would, you know, depending on your opinions on things, that's probably, in my opinion, something for president of council, right? It's probably the president of council who says, you know, let's stop this conversation here. This sounds like it's something for a committee. I'm noting it down for an agenda item for a report at our next work session.
That's what I was thinking, because I sent Diane a note about an hour ago about that.
Yeah, but I'm not here to make more work for Diane. So if she
Yeah,
doesn't want to
me
do
either.
that, that's a whole different.
I'm not
Oh,
trying to
nice.
volunteer anybody for anything, but that makes
it's-
sense.
Yeah, it's just like maintaining a parking lot.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that either. Just although I'm not necessarily, if I don't attend a committee meeting, I'm not necessarily going to sit through a recording of it. Yeah, you know, someone might need to tell me that there's
Sure.
a parking lot item if there's no other way to get there. But
Fair enough.
yeah, no, over time, I've been trying to keep track of some of this stuff, but okay. So, no, I think it's a great idea, Joe. It's just a matter of everybody communicating things that if I miss something on the to-do or the open or the assigned or the working, someone has to tell me.
Well, the idea would be that when we are in a regular council meeting and then we have our committee reports, that it would, you know, parlay the appropriate information that people would otherwise want to launch into questions and answers about.
Right. Well, you know, we all are busy, and that the thing is, we're all busy, and sometimes you want to read and be prepared for a council meeting, but sometimes it doesn't happen, and so that's part of it too. But if we have the, you know, the website is down the road, but once we have the website with described committee reports, someone could easily go into the committee report and read the notes, hopefully,
Right,
and get caught up with what's going on
exactly.
in the committee.
And that might all work if we, you know, refine it when problems pop up.
So back to the
Yeah,
mass
back to the
text.
mass text.
Yeah, the thing that we were actually talking about. I can take it on to review the four that Diane has already done, add in the Civic Plus that I had to give a good comparison and give a little mini presentation of my thoughts, so that then after our next communications committee, we can bring a recommendation to council if it's necessary, right? If it's such that to enter into that contract would need legislation, we would make that recommendation to council, or if it's not, we can make a recommendation straight to the mayor.
Right.
Does that
Well,
sound
I
fair?
thought that,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought the reason it dovetailed into the text messages, not, you know, the public, but for us, would be simply reminders of the committee meetings. But I think Tiffany's done a really good job of putting those all on the email, Tiffany and Diane. So may not be, you know, something that's really necessary. You can readily find out when the meetings are now.
Yeah, so this mass text product that we're talking about is not related to council communicating with itself. It
Right.
is about the village government communicating with the residents.
I brought it up because there was previous discussion about blast messages about reminders of meetings. And I think we've covered that.
Okay.
Okay.
Was there anything else we wanted to cover in this meeting?
I don't think so. I just to wrap up on the village update in terms of the newsletter and in terms of the website, frankly, and the communication. I don't find it ever works right to have, especially when it's opinion related, whether it's picking artwork for the office, what's going to hang on the wall, or whether it's a website or something like that. You have your group that does that, and they need to just do it. And then as far as whatever it is, we're going, you know, there'll be differences of opinion. So the team that's working the website needs to just do it. And to say, here, we made all these decisions, and now what do you think? That doesn't work. But in terms of testing it to make sure that it's in working order and getting feedback, see if that order makes sense of what is in there, etc. I think that's fine as it comes up. But and same thing with the news, the village update. It is a creative piece, and the person that's doing it is doing it, and to dibble and dab and come in and out is not efficient. So we're either doing something or we're not doing something, but this, you know, maybe this, maybe that doesn't work. It just doesn't get it done in time.
I agree. Awesome. Anything else?
Well, I'll just say this real quickly. If somebody's doing copywriting and editing for the newsletter, I don't perceive that it should be up to that person only to decide what the subject matter is. That would be something that could be communicated by the mayor. Wouldn't you agree, Tiffany? If you have subjects you want covered, I give
Becky,
committee chairman.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I view the newsletter is I give Becky my report, just like everybody gives Becky their report. Obviously, if there was something that was crazy out of line, Becky would bring it to me. But other than that, I mean, everybody has the opportunity to submit a story or whatever that they want to put in there. We had a couple people put some COVID stuff in there. I have no problem with that. I'm not trying to micromanage what everybody wants to say. I mean, I view it as it's all of our newsletter. So I do not ask to be carbon copied on your guys' reports. I don't ask to be, you know, I don't want to, again, I think if there was something crazy that Becky saw, of course, she's going to alert me to it. But other than that, the reports go directly to Becky. And I try to make it as simple as possible. So I don't, you guys are always more than welcome to submit something else. As long as it fits, I don't care. And relevant.
Well, just a topic list.
Right? Just write something. I don't need a list. Write something. If you want to put something about the lakes, you want to put something, absolutely write it to where Becky can copy and paste it. I prefer it just to be in an email so she can copy and paste it and she will add it to, I mean, again, she will add it.
Well, my point is, if it was to save you some work, which was part of the subject, would be you can send topics and then people can write copy and edit it, as opposed to you having to,
I'm gonna be honest, I have a hard time getting committee reports, as everybody knows. I'm just saying.
Okay.
But it's fine. I mean, again, anybody is more than welcome to at any time.
All right.
Are we good?
All right, I
Wrapping.
think we're good.
Bye,
All right,
everybody.
talk to y'all later.
Bye.